Every time we create something new, we go from 0 to 1. And that's why here is Nyayartha bringing out a new initiative. An initiative which focuses on book reviews, especially for students. And when I say especially for students, it doesn't mean that I'm going to bring out fiction or twinkle books and talk about that. Rather, that would be interesting, but rather because it's Nyayartha. So we talk about Arthashastra, economy, investment, finance, books, and try to see how students can apply it, how business books can be applied to students, and how can they build that skills to ensure that they build businesses tomorrow, or invest in market, or invest their money in one particular place. So that would be the whole point of view of book reviews, and especially for students and finance enthusiasts and economic sectorial aspirants. So with that, you would have already guessed when I started my video about 0 to 1. Yes, the business book 0 to 1 is today's book review. And when I talk about 0 to 1, it's more than a business book for me, because first, it was written by Peter Thiel with Blake Masters. So who is Blake Masters? Like, who is he? So he's a student of Peter Thiel, and the whole point of book reviews itself is to ensure that we understand the student perspective, and it's especially written by students, it's revised by a student, and then it was revised at the end by Peter Thiel. So this makes us give a very simplified version of what Peter wanted to say. So before that, who is Peter Thiel? Peter Thiel was a direct co-founder of PayPal, Palantir, and he has invested in hundreds of startups, including Facebook, SpaceX. So this makes us want to listen to him. So this whole thing is probably notes of Blake. So it was simplified. It's so simplified, and I think then Peter would have added on the images or a few aspects accordingly. But I think I learned. He starts off by saying that it's about four principles. Like it's all about principles, not about formulas. So anybody who wants to start off something new. The reason I like this book is because it blatantly starts off by saying that it's not about formulas. There's no one particular formula to create success. Rather, it's all about principles. So I'll be talking about four principles that the whole book is talking about, and it's the crux of the whole book. And how can I apply it? Two, three lines of how I personally applied it, or how a student can apply. So first is curious and believe. So be curious and believe. If you already think the market is saturated, I can't create, discover, invent anything new, that's when we stop being curious and we don't believe that there's optimistic future. So he says that believe there's some optimistic future. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. So that is what his first principle is. Believe, and have an optimistic mindset to believe that it will be coming right to us, and be certain about it. So be you can indefinitely be optimistic, or it can be definitely optimistic, saying that I don't know, there's something in the future coming to me, that's I don't know, it's blatant. So he doesn't actually emphasize on which is the best type of optimism. Is it indefinite optimism or definite optimism? That's left to you. But he rather says that pessimism may not work the most of the times, because you're not believing that there's some optimistic future. So if it's better to say that I work hard, I get that. So because he says that definite optimism is a better way of thinking, saying that if you work hard, you get success. And he says that luck, he talks about luck and says luck is not is not a lottery ticket. Luck is when you keep things in order, it will directly come to you. So if you don't keep things in order, if you don't put your hard work and putting your skills in right place and ensuring that you learn new things and all that, it doesn't come to you. So that's the whole point of believing and being curious and putting your hard work in one place. That's the first principle. The second principle talks about not competing. Man, Indians need to know this, I think, because I know my target audience are mostly Indians. So with that, I would say that we have this routine of competing with each other. Like, we'll see who will eat first, we'll see who will do X first, who will win this competition, or who will get first place. So we have this routine of competitions. So with that, he says that don't compete. be a monopoly. And I'll talk about monopoly in the last principle, but he says that don't try to compete against someone and don't try to get the unique sectorial aspect, saying that I want to be this, I want to go against that. So he says that you become very ruthless and it may lead to mental fatigue, and you may not concentrate on your product, on your distribution channels, rather you'll always be concentrating on others. And there's multiple examples of that in real life. And page number 30 and 31 talks clearly about that. And if you're reading this book, just go to, when you're talking about competition, like 30 and 31 talks everything about it. It talks about how Google is unionizing things and becoming a monopoly and trying to look as a very small fish in a big ocean. But every time there's someone who is competing, who says that, okay, we create baby corn manchuri, which is dry and which is, or you use olive oil or something on that line. So they try to create this fake monopoly when they are competing against each other. So try to be unique is what it says at the end of the day. Don't try to compete, be unique. So that's the second. And this makes me come to the third principle, that is power law and 80-20 principle. So this is in the context of startups. So 20% of your companies give 80% of the returns. So same thing goes with power law. He says that only two of his companies, Facebook, Palantir, gave him so much returns that all the other capital losses or all the losses he faced in so many 90 to 98 companies he invested in didn't matter, because this gave so much returns that it all covered it up, and it gave me more returns. So for a student, I think this is talking about skills we incur. So we take in 2 or 3 skills, we should be so good at it that it gives us the limelight we require. So he probably is talking about being jack of all but master of one. So that is what would you do with all these 7 questions. So ask yourself, if you're getting some new technology or if you're learning some new skill which others probably are not looking at or not seeing, try to see if you are actually networking well. Or 3, make sure that you have right set of people right next to you so that you can execute or understand and study well, or at least do something new in your life. And last and the final thing is the distribution I talk about is how you market yourself. I repeat that networking and all that is really important as a student. So if you really like this book review, we are going to come up with a book review every single Saturday, and that's what the plan is. So if you like this book review, just just like it and go to our Instagram channel and also our LinkedIn page, where we talk about economy, law, and other interesting policies which are going to come up. So I'll be putting the link of this book in the comment section or in the description. So do go buy it if you really like this book. And thanks a lot, guys. Do follow Nyayartha.